And sama, it's a more honorable way of saying that. In fact, they even use it with religious expressions, like when they refer to God, Western God. And so that's the word, otsukare-sama deshita. So, honorably Mr. Tired you were. You were honorably tired, mister, type of thing. Okay, you can't really translate it literally. I'm just translating it literally, so you don't learn merely sounds, but, you know, translation needs to be cultural. Cultural translation, not really, translation within the situation, not really a literal translation, because that's not going to lead you anywhere. But it's just to give you an idea of the meaning of the single sounds. So that's the expression you could use to say goodbye to someone. Otsukare, otsukare-sama, otsukare-sama deshita. You can break it however you want within these three possibilities, these three options. So for our expressions now we need to learn the last two of the day, which are going to be thank you and you're welcome. So thank you in Japanese, very famous word. I think most of you know it, but please, we need to still have a look at this because pronunciation sometimes is wrong, so it's often mispronounced. So it is good to review this expression, this word. So thank you is arigato. Arigato. To make it more formal, we can also add gozaimasu, which we had found before in the word ohayou gozaimasu. Gozaimasu means there is. So in this case, though, it kind of takes the place of an expression such as thank you very much, which we would have in English. So let's have a look at the word. Let's break it up for pronunciation. A, ri, ga, to, o. So two things to notice here. First, the R sound. Now the R sound has to be pronounced, and it needs to be pronounced in a slightly stronger way than English speakers normally use, apart from perhaps in some accents, but really specific accents. But the R sound is ri, ri. But it's not as strong as the Italian R, for example, for r, like birra in Italian. You will never have this sound in Japanese. Oh, you could, but it's not really. You can use it, it will be understood, but it kind of sounds, you will kind of have an accent. So it's better to simply say ri, ri. So you pronounce it, but not too strongly. Also, please note that you need to make it longer at the end, to, because we have two o, like we had two i in I, and we have two o here, to. Now, another important part here is intonation, because the real intonation here, when we talk about Hyojungo, so the standard spoken language, it will be arigato, arigato. But some Japanese speakers coming from other areas, such as for example Osaka, will pronounce it differently. You will hear different pronunciation. They will probably say something like arigato, with kind of a stronger accent towards the end, arigato. But in standard language you would simply say arigato. And then you can add gozaimasu, arigato gozaimasu, arigato gozaimasu. Normally Japanese kind of bend their head, they bow. We will talk about bows later in the cultural part. When do we use this expression? Now there is another expression that we need to learn, and that's going to be sorry. Now when you say sorry, when you apologize to someone in Japanese, you say sumimasen, sumimasen. So it's a long word, let's break it for pronunciation. Su, mi, ma, se, n. Now notice that the N at the end is nasalized, is nasal. You pronounce it with your nose. So you don't really say sumimasen, but you say sumimasen. It's with your nose. So for French speakers, this sound will be easier to produce. So the word is sumimasen, sumimasen. Some Japanese speakers kind of omit the M in between, changing it into suimasen, but it's not really proper, and it is better to pronounce it anyways. There are other ways to say sorry, one of which you probably, all those of you who like anime and mangas will probably know this one, and that is gomen, gomen, or like the longer version, Gomennasai. Gomennasai. This is very similar. Sumimasen kind of sounds a bit more formal than gomen, gomen, but still you can use both. But in formal situation it is better to say sumimasen. There are also other expressions which we will use when we will study higher situation of social status and gaps dealing with hierarchy. And for now, let's just learn the standard sumimasen. And then we have learned this, we need to understand one really important thing. Let's say that a Japanese person offers you food, or they offer you money, or a gift of any kind. From the Western point of view, we would normally reply and say something like something on the line of thank you very much, thank you so much. So naturally, we kind of feel like we do that in Japanese too. So we take thank you, we translate it as arigato, and we say, arigatou gozaimasu. Although that's not wrong, I have to say that Japanese tend to apologize in these situations rather than thank. And that's obviously a cultural thing, and that's also really important when you study a language which comes from a completely different cultural background, such as the Japanese. So in a situation like the ones I mentioned before, a Japanese would rather say, sumimasen, and then accept your gift, perhaps after probably declining 3 times. 2 to 3 times is considered polite. So when you want to give something to a Japanese friend and you see that they keep on declining, they're not being impolite, and it doesn't mean that they don't appreciate your gift. It's simply something that it belongs to their way of being polite, and accepting a gift right away would kind of sound rude. And so after declining a few times with iie, then you will probably receive an apology, as receiving your gift means taking it away from you, and that is something that needs to be apologized for. So when do we use arigato? It's a very slight difference. We will need a lot of examples for this, maybe in another video. Alright, this is going to be all for today. Thank you very much for listening to my video, and also thank you for your time. And I'm really pleased to do these videos and to talk about these things. If you want to know more, please subscribe to my channel, as there will be many other videos dealing with many other languages. And also we will continue soon with the Japanese videos number 2, which will be next lesson. Thank you very much indeed. See you later. Goodbye.